Finding Strength Together. First Nations and Métis people talk about their experiences of cancer.
We've fallen through the cracks. These are the words of a woman who participated in our initial study on First Nations and Métis women's experiences of cancer. In the first project, called Visualizing Breast Cancer, we explored Saskatchewan women's experiences using photography, interviews, and sharing sessions. The study was facilitated by 3 researchers, Jennifer Poudrier, Carolyn Brooks, and me, Roanne Thomas. Near the end of that project, the First Nations and Métis women said that it would be helpful to hear stories of cancer from other communities because they felt isolated in their experiences of breast cancer. As a result of their recommendations, we expanded our team in 2012. Our original team now also includes Wendy Gifford, Chad Hammond, Ryan Hamilton, Tricia Morrison, Tracy Scott, and Doris Warner. Supported with funds from the Canadian Cancer Society Research Institute, we worked with people from 5 communities based in the Gitxsan Territories, Kenora in Northern Ontario, the Mohawk sister communities of Akwesasne and Ganawage, and the City of Ottawa. Over 3 years, nearly 90 people, including caregivers, told their stories to our team in group sharing sessions, personal interviews, journals, and photographs. Collectively, we received 18 journals amounting to 109 pages of writing. 23 participants shared over 500 photographs. The stories we heard were at times difficult. For example, participants spoke of racism in healthcare, financial difficulties, and few opportunities to discuss traditional healing. However, their stories and photos also showed the enduring strengths, hope, and creativity of cancer survivors and their communities, despite these barriers and challenges. Based on the stories and photos shared by participants, we identified 5 major research themes. We returned a poster illustrating these 5 themes to the communities for their feedback. The 5 themes are the impacts of cancer and navigating health care, spirituality and ceremony, the land, nature, and traditional healing, sharing and creating, finding strength together. This video, building on the poster and the feedback we received, reflects the collaboration between the research team and the 5 communities.
The impacts of cancer and navigating healthcare.
I never ever thought I would get sick like this. My grandkids are asking me, what's the matter? Gigi, how come your hair, they go like that to my hair, and I'd have a handful of hair. And I said, because it's my treatment. I need to lose all my hairs before I can get better. Means be around for 50 more years.
Everything is very expensive, and then to have 2 kids, it's tough. It's pretty tough, but I'm doing it, you know. I had to fight for a lot of things. My wig, I had to fight for my wig. Even for my medication for my reproductive system for storing my eggs, that wasn't covered. I had to pay $1,800 for my medication to mature my eggs.
I know about cancer, what it can do. You know, there's nothing there to help you, like for support, you know, other than your own family. I lost my job for that 1.5 years. And, you know, I had trouble getting welfare, you know, to pay for my bills. I had to let go of my house and live in with people, you know, while I was going through this. I help people who have it on my community. And I tell them that it's not It's not your fault.
It seems that they had their support group at this hospital, but not to sound racist or anything, but it was just like white women only could go. Because it wasn't for me, and I felt I needed support with what I was going through. Thank God that I had my friends and family to help me through.
My son was sort of going through his own thing while I was going through mine. And he never wanted to come with me to any of my doctor's appointments and nothing. He just couldn't see me like that. And, maybe, as a young man, he probably thought he was going to lose his mother.
So I have cancer. And within 2 weeks, I'm having a full mastectomy. I'm overwhelmed. You get all this information and you just go, okay. So these are the side effects of the chemo, the different drugs, the different side effects, the layers of the chemicals in your body, the layers of what your body is going through.
Greetings, everybody. I want to thank you for coming out this evening to join us in this talking circle about the cancer. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I was diagnosed with prostate cancer 10 years ago. And when the doctor told me that I had the cancer, my jaw dropped to my chest. I said, this is a death sentence. When I told my wife, I said, if I get better, we are going to start a group. It'll be called the Wellesley Cancer Support Group, I says. And this is to help the people who need help to go to their treatments, give them a little bit of money for their gas, their bills, and maybe some accommodations if necessary.
Neither he nor the other doctor thought that my mother would endure chemo very well. They wrote her off that way. My mother tolerated chemo very well. It's just that when she finally had it 9 months later, there was significant tissue damage from radiation, so the chemo couldn't reach the tumor. My mom had a lot of hope, and I didn't think it was up to me to take that hope away from her. It's not up to anybody to take that hope away from her. That hope belongs to her.
A lot of families need a lot of financial support to be there for their family. I had to pay out of my own pocket for my family to be with me. I never received any support say, well, this is what's going to happen. How can we help you? I never received that.
A time to reflect and respond, to write or draw, to share. Spirituality and ceremony.
Ceremonies. Yeah, we had fires out there, the fire and the burnt tobacco, and we had morning ceremonies. It's all about creation. We start with the family and we go with the animals. We give thanks and we usually leave water or food for the land, and we take extra for the spirits that are around.
Like every morning, I burn my sage and I just give thanks. Like I hardly ever ask for anything though. I was just give thanks, good health, good wealth, my children, everything. Like in our culture, you don't want to ask for anything. You want to give thanks for what you already have. And then things start coming. So if you open your hands up and then you just pray, don't worry about people's ambitions or anything like that. You just, if you have extra, just give it, and then it comes back. Yeah, and I believe that, and that's what my grandfather taught me.
This is a photo of my mom well before she got sick. She's standing on what used to be a beach when she was a teenager. I like the photo because it seems ethereal and spiritual to me, and my mom is staring up at something in the sky or the trees. She looks like she's speaking to the Creator and connecting to another world. She always looked up when she prayed, not down. That's the old way that the Ojibwe used to pray.
I had forgotten to ask the doctor to save my breast so I could bury it and do a loss thing. So when the nurse came, I asked her to pray with me or do this with me. she said, what did you want to do? I said, I want to do a ceremony for my loss. And I did the sage and stuff, and the medicines, and talked to it and said goodbye to it. And I didn't really know what to do, but I knew I had to do it. Then I felt okay after that, because I didn't know what I was feeling.
When I look at that, I think of my brother. Just kind of reminds me of like his journey ended, you know, but I'm still here. I'm down here, and so, yeah.
It was like the cancer had lived its course for a full year for me to learn the true meaning of humility and respect. This sickness was a war, but I respected the medicines, the helpers, the Western doctors and their ways and equipment. Put all these together and combined. After all this, I went for a fast in June 2012. After my fast, I realized how small I was, a minute speck of dust being taken care of by the birds, trees, plants, water, air, and Mother Earth.
I went into a sweat lodge. After it was over, the guy in the sweat, he told me what happened in there. You know those spiders that run on water? And he said that bug went in there and took the cancer bug. Then he told me what to do, you know, and he told me, go in the water, you know, put tobacco in the water and thank that spider for helping you. So the next day I took my tobacco and I looked around, freaking ice all over the place. So I went down to the dock and there was a little spot of water like this that I hadn't iced over. So I put my tobacco there. And the next day I went, just for the hell of it, I went and looked, you know, it was frozen over.
In our community, when the church really went strong, the traditional medicines and the traditional healing and spirituality of our people really went underground. When I was sick and I was going through all this, I prayed. I combined the two, and I prayed like that, because when you're sick, you pray really, really hard. I pulled the two, not religion, but spirituality together. That's what helped me get through, and I just prayed through my heart. I knew where I belonged, and I knew what I was taught, and I put it together. The moon ceremony, where all the women get together when the moon is out, and then you tell your story, and then you offer it up so it doesn't come back. Now you've let go. Whatever was wrong with me, I offered it to the moon. And it's good because you know you've let it go. So you're not constantly reminded of it, and okay, now that I let it go, I'm going to concentrate on really living again.
A time to reflect and respond, to write or draw, to share. The land, nature, and traditional healing.
I bought this painting for my mother on Valentine's Day to remind her of the healing power she has within herself and to ask her ancestors for healing.
That's the Devil's Club, and that's a birch bark basket. We would pick Devil's Club after, right from the fall until the spring, before the leaves come on. We cut them down, and then I have to take the outer part, they're prickly. And then I take the second layer off and dry them, and then I grind it into powder, and I'll put them in capsules. I take the pills myself, Devil's Club pills. But it's the medicine that they used years ago.
When I got home, I started doing my own sprouting. That's my green drink. So it's just a juice mix, and I try to drink it throughout the day. That's my grow rack. It's in my kitchen. Those are the wheatgrass plants that I use. So yeah, real special to be able to walk by and just touch them. My Aunt Amber, she gave that to me. If I'm feeling down or something, I'll put a couple of drops of joy, or if I'm getting sick, I'll put some peppermint. It makes me feel better, kind of like smudging.
Is this your garden?
Yeah. After his mother died, my husband's mother, we made it in, like, her memory. It's really, really, really beautiful. And I just like the flowers, and I like weeding, I like working in the garden. It's relaxing and peaceful. It's such a nice feeling. And I just pray while I'm doing it.
I've always tried to maintain a connection with the outside, especially when I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Just after my 4th chemo treatment, I was actually seeing in our garden the first bright dandelion color of the earliest crocuses of the year. They are such a treasure to look at, as if it was the first time I'd ever seen them. But their exquisite veins, you could see them. How is it that they didn't freeze up and just become brittle? Every spring when the snow starts moving away from the back of my house that faces the south, I see them arise, and they are a symbol of my survival from cancer.
Like the tree, to me, also represents kind of like our healing. And like Anishinaabe, my dad, he'd always say, you know how the healing begins? It begins at the root. Because if you don't take care of the root, it just carries on for the rest of the tree, right? It's the rest of our body. Like, you have to focus on your wellness.
Yeah.
I've always been out in nature. I have to go for walks in the bush. It brings me balance, and I felt that was part of my healing process. The first chemo I had, my husband and my son and I went for a walk out in the bush. It's a need that I have in my life, so I think that it was part of my healing process.
And Mum, she did the fish. She worked on the fish even after her hip replacement. That was hers. And that's our smokehouse. I was smoking in. I had about 13, and my sister-in-law had 25. So we took them down yesterday. The only thing that we didn't do was we didn't go out and pick berries while I was doing that day.
Okay.
But we're back to that now.
A time to reflect and respond, to write or draw, to share. Creating and sharing.
My cousin Kathleen, who we had lived since we were kids also, we all lived with my grandmother. When I got sick, she decided that she was going to do the walk, the 26-mile walk in my name. She was the one also who I said to her, I said, Kathleen, if I die, will you take care of my kids? And she said yes. And then she made those slippers. They're beautiful for breast cancer that has the stigma on it. It's really something that means a lot to me.
My beadwork, that's my daily life. I do that all the time. As long as I have my beads and my needles, and I'm good. Right now I'm doing 6 hummingbirds. So that helps a lot, and it's relaxing for me to sit and bead.
I collected all of these pictures throughout my journey, right from having my chemo and radiation. I always wanted to put it out for support for women in our area. The support is so crucial for survival. If it wasn't for my son, I don't think that I'd be here today. And not only my son, but all those people who have shown me that community is so important.
And when I was in treatment, they had me draw a picture of what I thought cancer was or what it meant to me. Right here, I tried to draw like my body, and I wanted to put where the cancer was, so I had used a red in here. Then like my head, I had already drew my head, so I just drew a heart, and then I did like wings, because it's like a symbol of like freedom, you know?
Moments with creation, calming waters, relaxing breezes, whispering trees, rocks of strength.
I love being in the bush, and why I'm a nature photographer, because I like being out in the bush, and for me that brings me balance. That's one of my photos, which I really like, because it's actually just a shadow of a tree behind me, but it looks like a thunderbird rising out of the water.
This was my daughter's quilt that I made. When I got sick, Well, I thought I had to keep my mind busy, and so I finished it in the 9 months that I was off. My son had given me this calendar, you know. Every day there's a new quilt pattern. And she looked through that, and she goes, I like this one.
This is the first one I made. It took me 5 years to make this. They're all different. Not one girl is the same. They're hand stitched and they're braided hair. Keep the dresses and you'll make them. Yep. I wrote my name here, my Indian name.
That is the first one I made after I had the cancer surgery. I wasn't able to do that until about 18 months after my surgery. And it took me 3 months to do it. And I literally had a sore head, remembering how to do it. You know, like you take for granted all the things that you could do. So I've been making them, you know, that's been part of my healing too, is, you know, you have to focus on something that relaxes you, right? You can't focus on things that bring you down. You know, you have to enjoy what you're doing and find that creativity too. Because after the illness, I found that I didn't have work taking my energy anymore. You know, that sapping, that stress. And for me, this was a stress reliever. This one I just completed. I call it my ego at rest. This is me, new and improved. After going through all that I've done, I have the creativity now. Like, I feel really connected to who I am.
A time to reflect and respond, to write or draw, to share. Finding strength together.
And this is the place where where all of our elders get together. There was 3,000 of them. I didn't know what to do, you know, and then I thought, well, there they have booths, you know, of anything like diabetic and cancer, and they can go over there and talk to somebody.
Too many people suffer by themselves, and so I let a lot of people know. Before you know it, all these people were praying for me. I really feel that's what helped.
Totally calmed me right down. They were just so professional, the BC Cancer. Just made me feel so like I wasn't a burden to them. When I wasn't feeling well, and I would just go in, and sometimes they'd just give me time, like just to shed a few tears and everything.
We need to work hand in hand. Our traditional practices and ways, how we heal, will work hand in hand with Western, you know, and give it that equal validation and accreditation.
And then I got involved in the Relay for Life to the Canadian Cancer Society. And I was a volunteer and help organize it and be there for the night, you know, whatever. But at 5 years, I put a team together. So there was like 15 of us, my family, my kids, my friends, and I had T-shirts made. And this is what this represents.
I just went online and took a photo of, you know, someone who's kind of looked like me. Yeah, I'm large-breasted, and it was my left breast that I had removed. And I thought it was really awesome how some women get tattoos. What woman warriors, you know? Turning this big, nasty scar into beautiful
art.
Yeah. I thought, wow, that's pretty awesome.
During my radiation treatments, our community was in political turmoil, the Oka crisis. I was told I must stay in Montreal. Leaving my 4 small children and husband was so hard to do. They were my inspiration to fight for my life, and now I was totally disconnected. Things settled, and my doctor suggested starting a support group and introduced me to 2 other women from our community. We invited 7 people with whom we shared treatment appointments at the Montreal hospital. The support group was successful right from the start.
When I got home, I realized that I have a very comfortable home. And I added this sunroom, and it's my room. I spent a lot of time in that blue chair with that pillow under my arm here. So when people would come to visit, that's where they would find me. The door was always unlocked and you just come in. I got home from my operation and my kids were all home. So we hung out there, we hung out in the dining room, and we celebrated my birthday and we celebrated me.
I learned how much the communities can help, how much they are there for you, people you don't even know. The support here, this is awesome, this is great, this would be awesome once a week. It's time-consuming, but I think it's important. It's a life or death situation. You know, because without my family's support, I don't know where I would be.
The handkerchief that I have on, I wore that every day. I had to wash it. It was very comforting because also too my sister had given that to me. She brought it over one day, and when I did put it on, it was really soothing for me, and it kind of became my best friend after that. I wore it everywhere, and every time I put it on, I think it gave me more and more strength. I didn't care what I looked like, and it was just a matter of putting that handkerchief on and saying, okay, you're going back out into the community today. And so that is like a big picture of, you know, this is over. I beat it, you know, and it's time to say goodbye, and yeah.
A time to reflect and respond, to write or draw, to share.